Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are doing the 100 Experts video for Game Week 30, the video where we look at the trends from 100 FPL expert managers to try and figure out who is the most captain player, which kind of chips are being used this week, what kind of transfer targets are the main targets, who is being sold, and etc, etc, etc. So my favourite series I probably make on this channel, to be honest, that's definitely the series I find most useful to make for myself. Hopefully it's going to really help you guys as well. If you do enjoy what you see today, please do leave a like, really helps out the channel, and of course subscribe if you are new around here. But without further ado, let's meet the 100 FPL experts that we canvassed this week. So, as usual, I asked on Twitter for the, basically the game week plans from 100 different FPL managers. They are experts, they are veterans, they are content creators, bloggers, podders, all these different kind of people all coming into one place. So it's really, really nice. Thank you so much to all of you guys who got involved this week. There's some new faces in there this week as well who haven't got involved before. So yeah, thank you so much. This is really going to help a lot of people, and yes, it's going to be really interesting to see what you guys all are up to this week. Let's have a look at some of the more general trends to start ourselves off. So, 28% of our managers are making one transfer, 20% are making two transfers, and just 1% are making three transfers. So, not really a week of super heavy transferring. I mean, 20% making two transfers is pretty significant, but in previous weeks, in the last few weeks, we have seen the people making three or more and people making two transfers a little bit higher than this. So, yeah, maybe it's not as big of a transfer week as it has been in the past, particularly when you consider that 31% of our managers are not making a transfer at all this week. Absolutely crazy. We're going into a blank game week and these people are obviously set up or happy with their team or not really too willing to go too hard on this game week. Pick the players that they like, quality over quantity perhaps, and just make sure that we're focusing on future game weeks that might be a little bit more desirable rather than going all in on this one. So that is a really interesting one, that 31% are not making any transfers. I did not see that coming. This is what we get from these kind of videos, unexpected stats, and that is very much an unexpected stat, but it is what it is, and it, the proof's going to be in the pudding there. But I just feel like that this is the highest I've seen, our managers not making a transfer. This is the highest percentage I've seen in probably months, to be honest. So this is really high. So maybe this is actually genuinely a week to not make a transfer at all. I don't know, guys. That's going to be up to you from here. But we have got 20% as well using their free hit or their wild card. Let's have a look in the next page and kind of get a better breakdown on the chips. If you need it, you probably don't. So, not really a popular week for wildcards, bench boosts, or triple captains. In fact, none of our experts are using any of those other chips. The only chip that is being used by our experts this week is the free hit, and that is at 20%. I don't know if I probably expected it to maybe be around 25%, I guess, but 20% seems about right. A lot of people have already used both of their free hits, and also a lot of people have, are potentially saving one of their free hits for a future game week. Potentially, if they're not very well set up for game week 33, for example, where we are going to see a couple of blanks in that game week most likely, then maybe it's a good idea to save your free hit. If you're not benching 36, that might be a good week to save your free hit for as well. So I can kind of see why people are saving their free hit, but at the same time, I can also see why a lot of people, depending on how they're set up, really like the look of a free hit this game week. If you've got 4, 5, 6 players to play this game week, and you want to have a full 11, the free hit is your answer, the free hit is your friend. But we have got 80% not using any chips at all. So it's not a super strong week for a chip, but it is a reasonably strong week for a chip. 20% is still pretty significant in terms of how many people are using a free hit chip this week. So definitely one to consider, guys, if you do have a free hit chip at your disposal. So first of all, guys, let's have a look at the most popular transfers in the world. So all FPL players, not just our expert managers, to kind of see what the general trends in the world of FPL are. And these are our top 12 most transferred in players out of the 9 million now FPL players in the world. Tony is way ahead, 138, 139,000 as of the time of recording have already brought in Tony this game week. You can kind of see why, typically the general FPL player will look at the players with the most points recently, and Tony is certainly a player who's got a couple of decent hauls in recent weeks, hasn't he? Saka is really popular there as well. After that, we kind of look at some slightly less popular players, I guess. We've got, Cash there, Cody, Kulusevski, and it really drops off after that, to be honest. And when I look at this, compared to most weeks. Usually by this point in the week ahead of the game, the new game week, we probably usually see a few more transfers than this. We'll probably see number 1 and number 2 are usually at like 200,000 plus, and then we've got some other players at 100,000 plus transfers in. So it seems like either people are just not making transfers this week, or people are, you know, leaving it pretty late to make transfers. Maybe they'll wait until the end of Game Week 29, to be fair, because, again, as of recording this video, Game Week 29 hasn't even finished, so maybe it's going to take a little bit of a while longer for people to engage. But these are the big transfers in. What do you think, guys? Are there going to be any trends among our experts? Do you think our experts are going to like any of these players? Well, let me tell you, there are 3 players that our experts do like, and those players are Tony, Kane, and Lacazette. So just 3 out of the 12 are also really popular with FPL Experts. That's not very many, really, out of these players. So yeah, Tony and Kane and Lacazette are all being transferred in. None of these 3 players are the most popular transfer in for the game week among experts, you know, not by a long while, to be honest. Tony in particular, even though he is so popular among the general FPL players, he is, you know, there's only kind of a few of our FPL experts bringing in Tony. There's not like a lot of people transferring Tony, so he's not like a super popular among experts, especially when you compare it to how popular he seems to be among everyone else. You know, so there's something to take away there. I think, like I say, the number 1 expert transfer in is not on this list. So maybe you guys are going to find that pretty interesting. But let me tell you guys, there are 4 players on this list that are not being transferred in by any of our FPL experts. These 4 players are generating no interest whatsoever among experts. Who do you think they're going to be? Well, let me tell you. They are Cash, they are Coutinho, they are Maddison, and they are Havertz. So these 4 players. I don't really need to tell you why Havertz is not being transferred in by any FPL player who knows what they're doing. It's because Havertz is not playing this game week. He doesn't play in Game Week 30, so there's no point in bringing him in. Even if you're free hitting, guys, obviously free hits cancel out any transfers you make prior to hitting the free hit button. So you cannot get Havertz in now and then free hit and imagine that he's in Game Week 31. He's not going to be there. So don't bring in Havertz. Definitely not. Some of the other players, Maddison was kind of surprising. I would have maybe expect maybe 1 or 2 of our experts to go for Maddison, but they did not. As for Cash and Coutinho, I think the idea that the Aston Villa have got a very good chance of blanking in 33. They haven't got particularly good fixtures anytime soon either, Aston Villa, and their Game Week 30 fixture as well is against Arsenal, which is not really the ideal fixture in the world, is it? All of those factors kind of point towards maybe not being too bullish about going for a Cash or a Coutinho. Or certainly that is what I would probably guess why the expert trends suggest that these 2 players are not interesting at all, these 2 Aston Villa players. But take from that what you will, guys. You know, it really is up to you at the end of the day. But Cash and Coutinho, not popular transfers in this game week among experts at all. So let's see who our experts are transferring out, and this was surprising. Now, there's only 49% of our FPL experts are actually making a transfer this week. All of the others are either free hitting or not making a transfer whatsoever. So pretty crazy stuff right there. It really is. But we have got Salah somehow is the most popular transfer out, and he's certainly not dominating this list. You wouldn't say, you know, at 12 out of 49 or 12% total, you would imagine that 100% probably have Salah. Only 12% taking him out if you want to think about it that way. It is still pretty significant. You know, it shows that maybe there is an option to bring Salah out of your team. You know, potentially replace him with another expensive asset. You know, we're probably looking at Sons and Kanes, right, guys? If you want to get a Son and a Kane in, maybe people are this is kind of what I've got the impression of. People are taking out Salah this week in order to facilitate a Son or a Kane move. And then the following game week 31, they're going to bring Salah back in. So it's pretty aggressive to be transferring in and out Salah, but it is clearly viable. If these good FPL managers are doing this move, then it must be a viable move, right? It's not something that I would probably consider doing too strongly, but it's certainly viable. So if you guys are thinking about taking out Salah in order to get yourself a Son or a Kane, absolutely go for it. We've got Digne, he's been sold by a lot of people. I know he's got a fixture, but he's probably very likely to be out for this game week, really likely to be injured. We've got Broja, Willock, Bowen, interesting one. It really does not look like Bowen is going to be available for game week 30 either. Even though he does have a fixture, and the rest of them are kind of, kind of piecemeal, like only a couple of people transferring out each of the other players. So no real strong trends here, other than we got a few Salah transfers out, a few Digne transfers out, a few Broja transfers out. Bowen, to remove Bowen is still an option technically. I know a lot of people removed him last week, and aside from that, it's kind of like getting rid of those players that you don't really want long term anyway. Willock, maybe Shah, Fraser, Ward-Prowse. These kind of players could be good players to remove from your team, because they have their double game weeks kind of in the past. Maybe they'll have some more in the future, but for now they're kind of in the past, and we want to focus on some blank game week players. But let's have a look actually at some blank game week players who are playing in the blank game week 30, should I say. Who are our experts bringing in this week? This is the big one. So guys, how many of you saw this coming? Harvey Barnes really strongly leading the way, head and shoulders above everyone else. He was not even in the list of the most transferred in players out of all FPL players, but our experts really like the look of a Harvey Barnes this game week, and who can blame them? He's got a game this week, so we actually got a fixture in game week 30. We've got a double game week in 33 for Leicester, and we're expecting 2 more double game weeks, most likely in 36 and 37 for Leicester as well. Barnes seems to be the man in form for Leicester at the moment. Super nailed on. Not really, isn't carrying any injury problems. Kind of like Maddison is carrying some injury problems at the moment, unfortunately. So Barnes, he's our guy, really. It seems real cut and dry, guys. If you are just making one transfer this game week, and it's possible for you to do this, maybe this is a good time to just go for Harvey Barnes. He's pretty cheap at the moment. We're expecting good things against Brentford. Coming on that left-hand side, cutting in, maybe taking some shots. He's taking a lot of shots at the moment, to be fair. He's looking like the best attacking asset for Leicester at the moment. I completely agree with that. Looking better than Maddison at the moment. So, I can completely understand why he is so popular. I put him in my buy, sell, keep, avoid video yesterday as well, because I thought, this looks like a really good shout. Experts agree. Barnes is the shout, but he's not the only shout. There are some other players that are sparking some interest. Kane, for example, if you need a captain for this game week, Kane is a pretty good shout, right? Lacazette there as well. If you're looking for a striker, Tony. A few people going for Tony. Like I say, he's not as popular as you might expect, but he is still being transferred in by a few of our experts. We've got Amati there. A few people are saying they kind of wanted to downgrade, a Digne, for example, down to an Amati to just try and free up some funds. Amati has got a fixture this game week and is reasonably nailed on, certainly nailed on for the time being, until some of those other Leicester centre-backs return. And he's, Amati is just so cheap, you can't really go wrong. And then there's just sprinklings of some other players there, a couple of Arsenal players in there, Soyuncu, Cody. Yeah, there are options there as well. So with that said and done, guys, I think we suggest some transfer moves for you guys. So, the first couple of transfer moves I'm going to suggest based on our expert data is double moves. So, maybe you need to take a -4 to do this, possibly. But if you're making a transfer, there's a good chance you are thinking about doing a -4 rather than just doing one transfer. Particularly if you only got kind of 6-7 players, you don't really want to use a free hit this game week, or you don't have a free hit. You're going to be thinking about these kind of moves. So, Salah and Broja out. Barnes and Kane in. That should be affordable for most of you guys. I think that's a real improvement. You're taking out 2 players that don't have a fixture in 30. You're bringing in 2 players that do have a fixture in 30. Not only that, but they're also who we expect to be 2 of the highest scoring players in Game Week 30 as well. So I think that's a good move. It's pretty aggressive, and you are going to have to get Salah back into your team in Game Week 31. Maybe it's going to take you 2 moves to do that. Maybe you're going to have to transfer out a Son, for example, next game week to bring Salah back into your team. You're going to have to do it, but in terms of aggressively attacking Game Week 30, this would be the way. Similarly, if you don't have a Broja in your team, but you've got a Dennis or a King, both players there are players we quite like to sacrifice as well. Again, Salah and Dennis/King, one of the Watford strikers, out, and then Barnes and Kane in. Those look really good moves, to be honest. And aside from that, if you don't want to take out Salah, you're still going to probably want to have a good look at Harvey Barnes. If you're going to do that, Willock, Bowen, if you've got any other midfielders knocking around that you're not too keen on keeping, maybe you've got a Fraser or a James Ward-Prowse, for example. Those are the kind of players you could sacrifice for a Barnes. Failing, if all else fails, maybe you could just transfer out Bowen for Barnes, just to make sure you do get that really good player in for Game Week 30. You can also try and get in Lacazette somehow, maybe a Broja to Lacazette or Dennis to Lacazette, King to Lacazette. You're going to have a little bit of money in the bank in order to do this, but it would still be a pretty nice transfer to try and get Lacazette into your team. I think he's a really good shout for the game week. If you're thinking about moving on Digne, like I said, people moving on players like Digne in order to free up some money, going for a Marty is not a bad move there either. Or if you kind of want an Arsenal defender maybe in your team, you're not quite tripled up on Arsenal yet, you want to go in a little bit harder on the Arsenal players. You know that Arsenal are playing 30, you know that Arsenal have got a double game week or have a very good chance of a double game week in game week 33. Maybe you want to go for a Tierney or a White in your team. White I would probably prefer personally, but in terms of the expert stats, Tierney and White came in even, but maybe White just because it's a little bit cheaper, and Tierney is not offering too much going forward at the moment, so maybe not quite worth splashing the cash there. But yeah, certainly Digne to an Arsenal defender looks pretty good as a transfer move as well. But with those transfers suggested, guys, hopefully you've got a good transfer in mind for your team now. But who are you going to captain? Who's the most popular captain among experts? Let's find out. So, a game week with not too much surprise, to be honest. We have got Kane at 77% captaincy among FPL experts. That is pretty huge. That is pretty significant. So considering that not even that many people have Kane in their team, I didn't even know that 77% of experts have Kane in their team. It obviously is showing that well, firstly, those free hitting are making sure they have Kane, and they are free hitting. In fact, only one of the people who aren't free hitting this, who are free hitting this game week, only one out of our free hitters was not captaining Kane. So that kind of shows you that if you are on a free hit, you can have any player in the world for this game week. Is really strong suggestion that Kane is the one to go for there. So yeah, definitely Kane. If you have him, real obvious captain pick, super obvious, don't overthink it kind of thing. But if you do want to overthink it, or you don't have Kane, or you have no way of getting Kane, or you don't really want to do the moves that you would need to do in order to get Kane, Son is a decent backup. I do think he is a decent backup. He's not quite Kane levels right now, but he is close enough whereby you can imagine that Son could compete or even outscore Kane. You could see it happening, quite easily. It could easily happen on any given game week. So let's see what happens there. Both players play West Ham at home, of course. Those are by far the two most popular picks as well. But among our 100 experts, there were a few people going for some slightly differential players, though. So Harvey Barnes, who's spoken about a lot as one of the best players to go for this game week, 2% are actually captaining him as well. So you really do have that big amount of faith in Barnes. So one you could maybe consider if you are desperate for a differential, I guess Barnes would be the one I would go for. Outside of that, we're kind of seeing a lot of 1%ers. So these are real differential captains. If you really want to go for a punt on one of these, then that's kind of on you to a degree, because they don't look amazing, but maybe they could come off. If you're desperate, you don't have a Kane, you don't have a Son, you don't have a Barnes, I can't really imagine a situation where you would have none of those three players. But if that is the case, Saka against Aston Villa, Lacazette against Aston Villa, Tony against Brentford, Tony against Brentford, Tony against Leicester, so should I say, Podence, Cody against Leeds. They're options. They are options. They are not particularly, confident options, but they are options nonetheless. So there we go, guys. Those are the most popular captain picks. I wonder what you guys think of that. Who are you guys thinking about captaining? Do you think there are any other options really other than Kane and Son? Are you thinking about a differential captain? And if you are, why? Because I would really like to know from you guys if there is someone outside of Kane and Son that you are seriously considering. I don't want to get in your head. I want to find out what is the reasoning behind that. So do let me know, guys, about that. But that's it. That's it for captains. That is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching today. If you did enjoy what you saw today, if you do enjoy the 100 Experts videos, please do leave a like. Really helps out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here and you want more FPL content in your faces. We have got one more video this week. That is going to be my team selection video, which will include my free hit team. That's going to be coming out tomorrow on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing 2 streams. We'll be doing the deadline stream 1 hour before deadline, and we'll be doing 1 bonus stream at some point during the day. I will let you guys know on Twitter, or of course keep an eye out for YouTube notifications as well as to when I'm going live there. So make sure you join me on that. That'll be really awesome to see a few of you guys there, I'm sure. But aside from that, guys, thanks once again for watching this video, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.